In this video, we're going to learn how we can arbitrarily extend sublayers to our end condition or extend them to the end condition on the top and then box it off if the bottom cannot reach it. So currently on this point and this point, we are doing what we call a project to design, closest end condition, and we've given it a maximum search distance of 50 feet. The problem with this approach is these points will not move at all if the end condition cannot be found. So like in a shallow cut or a shallow fill, they will instead end up going up to here because this point can't be established. And so what we're going to be doing is inserting another point into this component and then a point into this component that will project to design also. And then on these points, instead of using the project to design constraint, we're going to use on the right side horizontal maximum, and then on the left side we would use horizontal minimum. So let's begin. I'm going to first insert a point on this particular component, but we want to do that down in this area. So I'm going to right click, insert point, and then we have to pick the top one. That's where we want to start this. And so I'm just going to put this up in space a little bit and select that, and then right click finish. Now what we're going to do on this point is we're going to set some constraints. So the first thing we have to do is define the slope of that. So we're going to say we want to set the slope, and we're going to come off of this point, and we're going to do an equation based on this point up here and this point, so it follows that shoulder, and we'll select OK to that. And then we want to set for temporary horizontal constraint off of here, and in this case I'm just using a nice even 2 feet. Now that we have the horizontal set where we want it, we're going to go ahead and change this to project to design, and because we're on the outside, it's going to be closest end condition with a maximum of 50 feet. So that takes care of this. Then we just need to name this. I made a point here called end condition seek. This will be the right side, and we will apply that. Now, we then need to change this point, and the slope is still adequate where we're going from these 2 points. But instead of project to design, now we want to use on the right side horizontal maximum. So we want to choose whichever point gives us the maximum horizontal offset. So we're going to be testing this point, which is going to be the top of our aggregate, and we're going to be comparing that to our seek point, which is here, and we will apply that. Now, the reason this point doesn't move is because right now this point up here has the maximum offset and not this point. But if this point can find its end condition, then this point will move out to where it targeted that end condition. Now we want to repeat this process for the bottom layer. So again, I'm going to insert a point, finish that. We're going to add a slope constraint, and we can just say from that point for the moment. And then we're going to modify this. And again, we want to go ahead and set our equation, and that's going to be from this point to this point. We'll select OK to that. And then we'll set a temporary horizontal offset again off of this point just to make it look correct. We'll set that to 2. Now we can switch this back to project to design, closest end condition, and we'll just say maximum of 50-foot search. And then we'll give this a name. And that point's done. Now we want to go in and change the properties of this point, and we're going to utilize the slope as before, but instead of project to design, we're going to use the horizontal maximum, and now it's going to be between this point and this point, and we will apply that. So now if we close, we'll save our changes to our template library. And then what we'll do is update our template or synchronize our template in our template drop. And so now you'll see that this is handling itself correctly because we have a very shallow fill. So if we jump over to our next station, now you'll see the bottom of the second layer cannot hit the fill slope, so it boxes off. And then the one below that then will honor the one above it. And so that is about as good as we're going to be able to get it. We're doing the same thing over here then on the left side. And then we're going to make the same changes on the median, but instead of projecting to closest in condition, we will project to closest component, but the process will be exactly the same. So this will enable you to get your sublayers fairly close. Like I said, you're not going to get like this little bitty piece of material here, but overall it should get you relatively close in what we would consider to be constructible in the field.